these donuts right here. Wow. These donuts will lead you to enlightenment. One bite, and you're done. Let me put these away. They smell delicious, though. You see, last night I was inspired to make this video about the donuts. Because, every once in a while I like to indulge in some tasty foods. I got these at the food bank. I would never buy them. But I figured since I had them, might as well have a few. And as I was eating them, I became painfully aware that eating these donuts served no purpose whatsoever. Because as I tried to enjoy them, to savor every bite, there was no true pleasure in them. They didn't even taste that good. In fact, as I was smelling them, they smell better than they taste. Word of advice, all of those fast food restaurants, they too smell better than they taste. They brought no satisfaction at all. And for the rest of the night, my tummy hurt. They made me feel sick. And I, in that moment, without any effort on my part, knew that I was never going to eat something like that again. I mean, of course, unless it was gourmet. You see these things right here, they are like crack to some people. I bet you may even be licking your lips, salivating at the thought of one of these donut balls. And you may even know deep down that they aren't good for you. But something in us can't help ourselves. And if you may have guessed, it's not just about donut balls. It's about everything. It's about all of our desires. All of the temporary pleasures. You see, last night I questioned, because I'm not going to eat these things, but my friends would certainly eat them. But a funny thing happens as you dive deeper into the spiritual path. You see, I don't take much responsibility for my virtue, but I also don't take much responsibility for my sin. But I find myself doing things like yesterday, for instance, as I was pulling into this place where I get my water, there was a rock, kind of by the road and kind of by the sidewalk. Now, I almost ran over the rock, and so as I parked my car in the parking lot, the first thing I did was I went and picked up the rock and threw it to the side, because somebody else could have ran it over. And it's not that I was being a good person, it was just I couldn't help myself. It was just the obvious thing to do. And so last night, as I was debating to give these donuts to my friends, I realized, how could I do that? Even though they are in a place where they would very much enjoy these things, they could not benefit them in any way. The temporary pleasures keep people trapped in the illusion. And that is why through awareness, you become free from the illusion, because the illusion is darkness and awareness is light. And you see, with any addiction, with any negative thought pattern, fear, negative beliefs, negative attitudes, the temporary pleasures and desires that we think we want, they are these donuts. And once you see through their illusion, your desire for them drops without any effort on your part. But see how we spend so much time and energy and effort trying to get rid of the addictions, trying to get rid of the attachments, trying to become free from negative thoughts, spending our lives grasping at things and trying to achieve our desires. Another interesting example was this morning. It was around 5 o'clock and I woke up and I wrote down my dreams, and I was perfectly awake. I was fine. But I typically do a morning meditation the first thing as I wake up. But the problem has been for a while that when I do my morning meditation, I end up falling back asleep. So I looked at the clock and it's at 5 a.m. And so I thought, well, okay, let's do some morning meditation and see what happens. Secretly, I knew what was going to happen. Perhaps I didn't want to face it. But I woke up 6 hours later, and it was 11 o'clock. And here I am now recording this video at like noon. You see, most people, if they struggle with laziness, they get caught in this drama of, oh, I don't want to wake up. I want to go back to sleep. Let's just sleep for a few more minutes. It's so hard to wake up early, which is, I've struggled to wake up early for a long, long time. But I woke up at 11 o'clock and felt more tired than I did when I woke up at 5. And so immediately the illusion was dissolved and the correct answer was apparent to me. That there served absolutely no purpose of allowing myself to fall back asleep. 6 hours of time with very little benefit. When in truth, I could have had my whole day done by now, and yet I am just starting. Now, of course, it's not a big deal. I don't believe in mistakes. I don't believe that you can possibly do the wrong thing. But that everything is exactly as it should be. Not only this, but everything is exactly as it should be to help you grow, to help you expand, and to become the highest, most spiritual version of yourself. You see, the universe is one big divine intelligence evolving itself, changing all the time. But we identify as separate from the wholeness of all things, from other people, and that is the illusion. There is me, there is you, and there is everybody else. But in fact, we are all one. And because of this illusion of separation, we have the desire to be selfish. And selfishness is consumption. We desire to consume things. And this desire to consume brings no lasting satisfaction. In fact, it only brings suffering. Like these donuts, there is only suffering. But oh, do they smell good. They do not taste good, and they do not feel good. To smell these donuts is far more enjoyable. Incredible. But I wish to now throw you a curveball. Because you might assume that I am here to take you from the illusion, to set you free. Which is true, but that is not the path that I took. In fact, my method was far more crazy, and it actually works. I mean, I had my hypothesis for a long time, but in a way, you don't really know until you know. And what I did was, and what you might do as well, is rather than run away from the illusion, you dive deeper into it. Because unconsciousness, illusion, darkness, is the source of all suffering. But suffering is the source of all enlightenment. Suffering causes you to be more aware. When I ate the donuts, I became aware that they served no purpose. When there was the undesirableness of waking up late rather than waking up early, the illusion was instantly destroyed. Because the moment you turn the lights on in a dark room, the darkness instantly evaporates. You see, it requires the grace of God. It requires you to have constant communication with God to guide you through this process. Because, in my opinion, it is too dangerous to do alone. But what is done is that when you have the urge to engage in illusion, in desires, in temporary pleasures, you don't avoid it, you don't run away from it. In fact, you go into it more. Whenever I found myself falling toward temptation, or when I found myself doing something that I knew I shouldn't do, instead of stopping myself, I said, okay, you want to do that? We're going to go 10 times worse. We're going to go 10 times deeper into it. And that is why they call me Extreme Buddha. But you see, what this does, it prevents you from sustaining bad habits. It prevents you from ever being comfortable in the illusion. Because the temporary pleasures cause so much suffering that it forces you to be more awake. It forces awareness. It's like nitrous for the awareness. It blooms so much more and so much quicker. Now, obviously, I can't encourage you to do what I've done, because that wouldn't be very responsible of me. I mean, if you have a heroin addiction, you can't just go 10 times harder. In this case, you have to communicate with God, because God will reveal to you the truth. Through your experiences and through your suffering, you will become more and more aware of yourself. You'll be aware of the parts that need healing. You'll become aware of the parts that need to change. And you will have a grace to be guided through this process. But many people sustain their bad habits and they get stuck in this purgatory realm where life is not really good, but it's not really all that bad, because they have the coping mechanisms to deal with it. But because they are constantly weighed down by these coping mechanisms, they never really live. They never really experience life as it is meant to be experienced, from a place of freedom and joy and love. You see, I indulged in temporary pleasures for a long, long time. As with all of us, I was caught in the illusion for a long, long time. And only as you develop awareness can you instantly become free from the illusion of these temporary pleasures. But sometimes, if you have strong attachments, you might keep falling into them over and over again. But don't run away from these experiences. The gold is found in the dirt. It's found in the darkness. It's found in suffering. So I can't tell you to indulge in your temporary pleasures more, because that wouldn't be right. But the fact is that you'll probably do it anyway. So what I am saying is that when you do it, if you do it, don't waste that experience. Don't waste that suffering, because it is the source of all of your awareness. It is the fuel that drives consciousness. Think about this from an evolutionary point. If you were to see your friend get eaten by a giant snake in the bush, even if you didn't have language, you would see that and you would feel, I don't want that to happen to me. And so as you walk through the bush moving forward, you're more aware, you're more conscious. They say it is actually because of natural predators that we have grown our eyesight to be as powerful as it is. And the eyes are a direct reflection of consciousness. That is why they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. The eyes are an extension of consciousness. Because when you close your eyes, even if you're a blind person, you can still see. Seeing isn't limited to the eyes. You have all of your senses, and all of your senses are seeing. You see feelings, you see sounds. When sounds enter into your ears, the sounds arise in your awareness, and awareness is seeing. So the reason that these donuts are the secret to enlightenment, they will lead you to enlightenment. It is because the suffering that they create will break you free from the illusion of them. So tempting, so beautiful, so alluring. I almost even want to bite it right now. I'm getting drawn back into the illusion. But you have to understand that these things were constructed by other human beings to seduce you. Our biology has been hijacked. And that is the crux of this game of life, is that we are not trapped necessarily, but we are housed in a biological body, in an animal. But yet this animal is waking up. So we are simultaneously rising to higher states of consciousness, but also being dragged down by our earthliness. And the mistake that we make is to throw away the earthliness, when in truth, the highest path is to come into balance with both, to see through the illusion of it all, and to be free, and then to live your life from this place. So you won't spend your life chasing temporary pleasures, but you may enjoy them when they come, and you may enjoy all of your experiences, good and bad. And you will live a whole and full life this way. But most people spend their lives wandering, trapped, chasing this. Donut balls. People give their lives for this. They spend their whole life chasing this. They give up everything for this. Incredible. To become free from the illusion, you must first taste it. You thought. No, there is no desire. Because where one sees pleasure, the awakened one sees pain.